If China, India, and Russia were to unite as a single geopolitical and economic entity, the global balance of power would shift dramatically, potentially challenging the dominance of the United States and its dollar-based financial system. This hypothetical alliance, combining China's economic might, India's demographic and technological potential, and Russia's vast resources and military capabilities, would create a formidable bloc. The power of a China-India-Russia alliance. Together, China, India, and Russia represent a colossal economic force. As of 2025, China is the world's second-largest economy, with a nominal GDP of approximately $18 trillion. India is the fourth largest, at around $4 trillion, and Russia, despite sanctions, maintains a resource-driven economy at about $2 trillion. Combined, their GDP would rival or even surpass that of the United States, which stands at $25 trillion. This alliance could dominate global markets, control supply chains for critical goods like semiconductors, energy, and pharmaceuticals, and set standards for emerging technologies, forcing other nations to align with their economic frameworks. The combined population of these three nations, over 3 billion people, accounts for nearly 40% of the world's population. Their geographic span across Asia and Europe would give them, honestly, unparalleled strategic reach. This bloc could dominate international organizations like the United Nations, BRICS, or the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, reshaping global governance. When it comes to military strength, Russia's nuclear arsenal and conventional forces, combined with China's modernized military and India's growing defense capabilities, would create a military powerhouse. Their collective ability to project power in Asia, Europe, and the Indo-Pacific would deter adversaries and influence smaller nations. In terms of diplomatic leverage, by aligning their foreign policies, they could challenge Western-led institutions like NATO or the G7, offering an alternative world order based on multipolarity. Countries in the global south, already wary of Western dominance, might gravitate toward this bloc for trade, security, and ideological alignment. The alliance would control critical resources. Russia is a leading exporter of oil, gas, and minerals. China dominates rare earth elements, which are, essential for tech and renewable energy, and India is a growing hub for agricultural and pharmaceutical production. This control would give them leverage over global markets, enabling them to dictate terms to resource-dependent nations. Many nations rely on China for manufacturing, India for IT and pharmaceuticals, and Russia for energy. A unified bloc could weaponize these dependencies, imposing trade conditions or sanctions to enforce compliance. For example, cutting off energy exports or restricting access to critical technologies could cripple economies in Europe, Africa, or Southeast Asia. The alliance could accelerate efforts to undermine the US dollar's dominance by promoting a new reserve currency or trade system. China and Russia have already experimented with de-dollarization, such as trading in yuan or rubles and developing alternatives to SWIFT, like China's CIPS. India's growing economic clout and digital payment systems, like UPI, could bolster this shift. A basket of currencies backed by their combined gold reserves, Russia and China hold significant gold, or digital currencies could challenge the dollar's global role. This bloc could project an alternative to Western liberal democracy, appealing to nations frustrated by United States hegemony. By promoting so-called sovereign development models, emphasizing state-led growth, cultural autonomy, and non-interference, they could, win allies in the global south, particularly in Africa and Latin America. With China's artificial intelligence and fifth-generation leadership, India's software and space capabilities, and Russia's expertise in cyber warfare, the alliance could, honestly, dominate emerging technologies. Controlling standards for artificial intelligence, quantum computing, or blockchain would force other nations to adopt their frameworks, which would, really enhance their global influence. While this sounds powerful, in reality, there are some serious hurdles, historical tensions. India and China have long-standing border disputes, geopolitical interests. India leans towards the West in some aspects, especially with the Quad, which is India, the United States, Japan, and Australia. Ideological differences, democracy versus authoritarianism, nationalism versus communism. However, if driven by shared economic and anti-Western goals, these nations could set aside differences to cooperate, much like how BRICS already functions. In summary, if China, India, and Russia came together today, it would reshape the world in ways we can barely imagine. It would spell the gradual downfall of the United States dollar, dismantle the Western-led world order, and create a multi-civilizational superpower based on Eastern values and self-reliance. Such a union may not just change geopolitics, it could define the future of humanity in the 21st century. And in that world, the West would no longer sit at the head of the table. It would inevitably bow down. If you found the video insightful, hit the like button and subscribe. See you in the next video.